Florida school has Black-only assembly to chastise the students. This reporting is per WESH, Channel 2 News. Parents of Black students in the 4th and 5th grades at Bunnell Elementary in Flagler County, Florida. They're outraged. And they say their children were targeted, absolutely targeted for underperforming on standardized tests. Only Black students, whether low scoring or not, were called into an assembly Friday. Two races were divided, white and Black, said a Bunnell Elementary school parent who did not want to be identified. You left the white children to continue their education. Black children had to go out to be talked about the consequences of not being successful, she said. Now, the students were presented with this PowerPoint the district shared with WESH 2. One slide is called The Problem. African Americans have underperformed on standardized assessment for the past 3 years. Only 32% are at level 3 or higher. Well, let's pause right there. I would think a slide like that and being talked to in this manner would make students feel uncomfortable, especially when you put it in the context of, history, the historical context. You don't perform well. How embarrassing. I thought Florida had rules against making children feel uncomfortable. Max, what say you?
Well, I'm just stunned that this happened at all. I mean, the minute an administrator said, let's divide this class up into Black kids and white kids, some adult should have stood up and said, wait, this doesn't sound right. And what's more, I mean, if you're gonna lecture these kids on educational attainment, your PowerPoint shouldn't have spelling errors in it. Right? This really is the definition of setting Black students up to fail, because the white students got to continue in class while the Black kids were taken out of the classes that the teachers are telling them they should be in to hear about how bad they were. I mean, whoever thought this up should be fired for being an idiot in addition to being racist.
Yeah, and let's put the PowerPoint back up, see if you can spot some things, if you will. And we should also mention this. Are Black students the problem, or are you not educating your students properly? Okay, if you want to just do a broad brush, who's really failed whom here? That would be my question. The anonymous parent recalled what her daughter in 5th grade told her. Here comes, oh, look at your treat. They want our grades to be higher. And if we get a higher grade, then we will be rewarded with McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, the mom said, because that's all it takes, a little bit of fast food to bribe a Black kid to do better, study more. Okay, you're bringing down the average. In addition, the parent and others we spoke to off camera said staff running the assembly made these alarming comments to the children. If they're not successful when they are older, they could end up being killed or go to jail, she said. Again, how uncomfortable for students, okay? We don't want people feeling uncomfortable, do we? The slide should be banned in Florida. The parents say they were not told anything about the plan to single out students of color, as though they, and only they, are what's bringing the school down. The mother we spoke to on camera says her daughter scored 4 and 5, excuse me, on recent assessments. It became racial for me when they included, pardon me, racism. Discrimination makes my throat dry. It really does. It keeps happening because we're talking about it so much, okay? I have to keep extra beverages now on standby because it just, my throat, I can't continue to spit out this nonsense. Not allergies, it's racism. Okay, so that mother said, listen, this became racial when they included and boxed all of the Black children together, no matter if they were below average, or above average, the mother said. So basically, you're all responsible. If you're Black, tan, whatever, you better deal with this, okay? Because you're messing up the white kids and their overall achievements and scores in this school. We want you to knock it off. We'll give you some cheeseburgers and some Chick-fil-A. She says several of the high-performing Black students, including her child, were called out. She felt embarrassed because she had to go on stage. She had to go on stage and make it seem like she was better than them, the student's mother said. School district interim superintendent LaShakia Moore released a statement that said in part, while there was no malice intended, how this so-called outreach was done does not meet expectations and that there are more appropriate ways to affect change. You think, Ms. Moore, Superintendent Moore, really? Is she going to try to get the job permanently? Moore said that in the future, parents will be made aware of any efforts to raise student achievement. She also said the district continues to investigate this particular issue. Moore stated she had the opportunity to sit down with Bunnell Elementary principal Bunnell Emerson following the assembly. We've been able to talk about what led to this assembly and steps that were or were not taken before or after it. Okay. I want you to just go ahead, Max, because this is not only is my throat, it's now my head. It's just nobody flagged this. Nobody said it's not such a good idea. Nobody said let's just be ignorant and include all the kids because they're getting on my nerves here with their low scores. They said let's just get the Black kids. Your turn.
And the idea that this isn't malicious, how is it not? The entire process was malicious. I mean, you're bringing in Black kids and implying, outright saying that they don't want to succeed, that this is a problem of their laziness in studying. And they don't need fast food. If you want better test scores, you need a state that doesn't defund public education. You need a state willing to pay teachers who are good and who want to be there. You need a state that actually cares about educational outcomes for the entire student body. This could not make clearer that this is the expectations are entirely different. And then on top of that, to take out several of the Black students, point at them and say, well, these are some of the good ones. I mean, you couldn't write something more cartoonishly racist if you tried. And yet there's no malice in that. It's unbelievably stupid to say.
I bet you Clarence Thomas could, if he were writing something, he could come up with something. I think he could do it quite easily, okay? He and one of his buddies in the robe, you know which one. I think they could come up with something even more ignorant, but this is pretty bad. About the statement, the superintendent, the interim superintendent, the smiling, I guess it's the principal, whatever. Nobody's fired. She doesn't, it's such a mealy mouth, let me, split the baby here statement. It's, these people were very ignorant. Let's get them out of there until we can figure out something better. Like maybe the kids could teach themselves if this is the alternative. I'll give you the last word.
I think it says all you need to say, that instead lecturing students on how they need to be in class by taking them out of class. I mean, it shows you that the administration here is the problem, not the students. They clearly do not understand how to prioritize their own problems.
Wow. Every student should have one of those little flashlight thingies. Sometimes they come in a pen and just put the spotlights on you, right back at you, okay? What about you people? It's despicable. Again, we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable in the classroom. So this should be permanently banned, not the books. This kind of tactic should be banned. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Rashad Richey. This is Indisputable. Very proud to have our special guest co-host Max Burns with us today, TYT contributor and Rebel HQ extraordinaire. Admit it, Max. Clarence Thomas, come on now. He could have come up with something like this, even worse, don't you think?
Oh, I'm sure he thinks that this is just great. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this finds its way into a Supreme Court opinion next week.
Depends on if he's on a super yacht with the interim superintendent and company, and then we'll see.